Hey, I'm Nick from Income Digs. Welcome to this video tutorial. Today we're talking about dealing with rent and expenses that come from a property manager. Okay, so we have a lot of videos out there for landlords where we're talking about how to account for revenue coming into your business as well as expenses going out of your business if you're the landlord and you're managing all of that day to day yourself. But a lot of us, we're taking on property managers and they're doing some of that work for us. So how do we account for that in our accounting books when the property manager is the one doing the money and doing the calculations, and we're just kind of receiving a check on a monthly basis? So I'm going to go over how to do that in QuickBooks, and we're going to talk about really how a lot of people do it is kind of the wrong way. All right, so we're going to talk about doing negative balances. We're going to talk through recurring transactions, and we're also going to talk through accounts payable and how to track vendor credits. All right, so if you're interested in that, join me here on this video. So what we're going to do to start is we're going to envision that we have this statement from our property management company. It's super simple. I'm keeping it really easy for now. But let's say like on a monthly basis, we have these two properties, 123 Main and 34 Long, and they're both renting out. One for $1,250, the other for $850. So we're getting that money incoming, right? And then our property manager is charging us a 10% property management fee. And then they're charging us for other expenses that they incur so that the final bill or the check that they write us is actually less than our rent, which makes complete sense, right? That happens all the time. So what we're going to do is talk through how to put this into QuickBooks the right way. All right. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to do a profit and loss for 2021 just to kind of bounce it over. All right. So if I go there now, I have nothing. So what you might be tempted to do is to record a deposit or a sales transaction and bring in that 1688.10. All right, so you could do that potentially, right? So your property manager, right, and you could put in rental income and you could say 1688.10. Okay, 1688.10. You could do that. Now we immediately run into some problems, right? Because if I have two different properties here and I'm using class to track my properties, and I'm just going to make this 2021 real quick. Okay, if I was doing that, then what class would I attribute this to, right? I could do, 123 Main Street. I could maybe split in half, okay? And I could say that, this much divided by 2 went to Main Street and 844.05 went to 34 Long. I could do that, okay? There's some major problems with that though. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna save that so we can see it on the P&L. So I'll save and close. And there it shows up as rental income. Now, obviously you're probably realizing this doesn't tell the whole story. If I distribute this by classes, it will pop it out into the different classes. But a couple things are wrong here. For one, Main Street's rent is higher than Long, so I'm showing the same revenue for both. And two, if I proceed this way, it's likely that I'm going to have no expenses whatsoever on my income statement, my profit and loss. So how am I supposed to manage my expenses if all I'm seeing is the top line revenue? I'm not getting the information I need. So this will not work. Okay, so I'm going to delete this transaction because it simply won't do the job for us, okay? And I'm going to show you the right way to do it. So the right way to do it is to use negative amounts, right? It's actually way simpler than it might seem. We're going to pretty much take this and put every single line into the line on the deposit, okay? So I'm going to go new deposit again. And again, I'm only making the date 2021 just so I can show it on its own profit and loss, okay? And so here I have Anvil Property Management, and I'm going to put in my rental income. And I'm going to put it in exactly like it shows here. I'm just going to say rental income. Now, let's pretend that I got this on the 1st of the month. Okay, you could put in payment method, the check number, etc. So just put in line for line what is on that sheet, okay? So 1250. Now my next one's for 34 Long. Okay, and so this is 850 for 34 Long. All right, now I have my property management fee. So this is not rental income, this is actually an expense. So if I do property management, or I'm sorry, Anvil is my vendor, and then if I put in here my property management. Do I even have it in here? I don't think I do. Maybe I have professional services. Yeah, legal and professional fees. So you might want to make this specifically property management. Okay, now here I might want to take this and split it out. So I might want to do 0.1 times 1250, and that's my 123 Main Street. Now make this negative, okay, and then split out the next one as well, pretty much the same way. Okay, so this would be the negative 850 times 0.1 is 85 bucks. Okay, and this is for 34 long. All right, and then I can just put in these lines here. So I have repairs for 123 Main Street. So I can just go here and do repairs and maintenance, and kitchen sink. And how much was this for? This was for 145.50. 123 Main. And then I also have utilities in the amount of 56.40. I gotta make this negative. I gotta remember that. So 56.40 for 123 Main. All right. Negative 56.40. Okay, and so if we go line by line like this, the amount is going to equal the actual amount that's being deposited. What's important here is that this number matches the actual deposit you get, and it's made up of all of these items here. Okay, so I can save and close this, and now look at how my profit and loss sheet is going to build itself out. I've got rent attributed to the right properties, and then I start building out my cost of goods sold. It's a way more clear picture, okay? That's the way that you should be doing this from the property manager. Now, one comment I get when I get this is like, oh, that's like so detailed. You have to do that every month. These things are long, okay? And that's where we can make use of recurring transactions. So how do we do that? We take the first one we make, which I agree is probably going to be long, and it might have way more lines than this, right? All the different properties and all that stuff, right? And if we make it recurring anvil, okay? We can create it like 10 days in advance, monthly on the first day of the month. Because I just did February, let's start it on March 1st, okay? So if I save that template. Now you're probably thinking, well, what about when things change? Sure, when things change, that's something that is potentially annoying. So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm just gonna go to my recurring transactions and kind of use it. And this is what I do for mortgage payments as well. If I just click use, and let's pretend that we make that March one, okay? So my advice is to let it come into your system and then just adjust the amounts, because guess what? These rents are probably always going to be the same. Property management is always going to be the same. And then maybe your repairs for this month is 0, but your utilities is negative 85.40, whatever the case might be. Save and close it, and don't, you could update the template if you want, or you could just do it just this one time. And then if I go back to my profit and loss sheet, okay, so where is that? Profit and loss next year. And if I distribute it by classes, there it is, okay? And if I took total only, or I'm sorry, if I did months instead of classes, then there you go, right? There's my income, my profit and loss. So you can use that recurring template to create them every month, and then all you have to go do is go in and edit them. And actually, that's a great task for a virtual assistant or a bookkeeper, right? You've kind of set it up the right way, and they know to go in there and take the statement and then take what actually you put into your books, all right? Now, one more thing I want to go over is what happens when it's negative, okay? So what happens when, say, they have to do a ton of repairs? Let's say that they have to do like 2,500 in repairs, and you end up owing them money. Well, in that situation, I would delete the bank deposit because they're not sending you any money. And they're probably not asking you for a check either. They're probably just keeping that balance so that it can apply to the next one. So here's how I would deal with that. I would do a journal entry for this transaction. Let's say this is for April, okay? And you can put in your rental income, and So, and I'm just going to simplify this just to make it a little bit quicker. I'm just going to zero these out. Okay, so let's just say it's rental income of $12.50 for 123 Main, and then the sink repair, right? So $12.50 in rental income. And then we have repairs and maintenance for $2,500. Okay, so now what do we do with the balance? Again, they're not writing me a check, but what you can do is you can use accounts payable, okay, for that balance. And as long as you indicate here who it's for, Anvil Property Management, okay, what that would do is it will still give me my rental income, it will still give me my repairs, and then on your vendors, it will show an open balance for Anvil. So if I go into Anvil, I see that I owe them that. And then that'll come off on the next statement. Okay? So I'm getting a lot of questions about this. As a lot of us are growing and scaling, we're using property management companies. And so it can get confusing because there's a lot of ins and outs. And my advice is to use that statement and try to do, to whatever degree possible, a one-for-one match on the line items so that your P&L tells the real story. That's the only way you're going to get the information you need to make the key decisions for your rental business. All right. So interested to hear your thoughts on that. Again, we have a lot of questions specifically on that topic. Feel free to ask any follow-ups or ask me if you want to cover any specific nuances with that. And feel free to check out all of the free resources available at incomedigs.com. And we'll see you on the next video.